Now let's try to graph -3 secant x squared, or sorry, not x squared, x over 2. And the best way, or a way to do this, will be to graph its reciprocal function. And you remember what its reciprocal function is? The reciprocal of secant was cosine. So let's see if we can go ahead and graph its reciprocal function, the cosine function. And I see that I have an amplitude that I can deal with right away, an amplitude of -3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to just go ahead and put some markers down there. Now those aren't horizontal asymptotes. They're just little markers for me to have an idea where is the maximum and minimum that my cosine function can be at. The next thing I need to find out is what is its period. And you remember we found its period by taking 2 pi all divided by this value of b. So its period equals 4 pi. So one complete movement of my cosine graph will go from 0 all the way to 4 pi. Now to find out the important chunks in between, we know that something happens every fourth of the way through. So there's 4 sections of this graph that we want to explore. So let's divide that period into 4 sections. So 4 pi divided by the 4 sections we want to look at. So we see that something interesting is happening at every pi radians along the way. So it's 0 pi, 2 pi, 1 pi, 3 pi. And let's back it up and go backwards too. So with negative pi, -2 pi, -3 pi, and -4 pi. So something fascinating is happening at every one of those positions. So we have enough information to go ahead and graph this particular function. So if I remember, and since it's a negative, we're going to start in a negative amplitude position, which is right here. And then if I back it up and do it on the other side as well, all right, so there's the rough version of what the cosine graph looks like of this particular function. So to find the secant function of that, I want to go ahead and find one where its vertical asymptotes are at. And vertical asymptotes are where our x value equals 0. So I have here at pi, 0, pi, looks like 3 pi, and over here at -3 pi. So there I have some indications of where my vertical asymptotes are at. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and draw in its reciprocal values. So its reciprocal values are such. So let's find out right here. My graph comes down. In that section, in this section right here, I have my values are negative, and so the reciprocal values are going to fall down as such. In the next section over, the values are positive, so my secant values are be up in this little section, and then if I continue on, as so forth. And I'm going to draw little arrows on those just to insinuate that they continue to follow up asymptotically as we continue on. So again, just to review and recap, sometimes it's a good idea when we're trying to graph our secant or our cosecant functions is to graph their reciprocals, their sines and cosines. Then once we do that, we can just look at those points reciprocally to kind of get a sense of where that graph looks like. I hope you guys take some time to practice these. These will start to make sense once we get some practices underneath our belt. So hang in there and just keep up the good work, guys. This will pay off.